when I think about Benton Harbor and that sense of community and what I would like to see, those are some of the things that kind of stand out to me, where we are honoring those values through and through in the way in which we engage and grow and work and learn from one another.
My name's Johnny Reinhardt, and I've lived in Southwest Michigan most of my life. It's such a wonderful community full of so many great things, but the best part is the people, families, history, and especially the stories that make it great. And with every story, you have to start somewhere. This is Start from the Beginning, Stories from Southwest Michigan. Today we're talking with Ashley Hines, and she's somebody that I think every community should have, a real driving force that is not only making the community better now, but also looking at what she's doing and what the community can do to make life good now and for the future of the community, looking at many different aspects. So we talk about that and a whole lot of other things. So let's start from the beginning with Ashley Hines. Hi, Ashley. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
It's Ashley Hines, and you are somebody that I have been introduced to through a friend. RJ Williams said, "You got to talk to Ashley." She's like,
so I have RJ to blame for this, huh?
Yeah, you have RJ to blame, but she said, "Hey, if you're looking for great people within our community, Ashley's your person." So
I appreciate that.
I think you have no problem living up to that, because just from conversations we've had a little bit about what you do and what you feel about community is just, I think, awesome. Plus, I think you have the best Facebook photos, because I feel like you've been around the world a million times, because you seem to be a very person that loves to travel.
I do. I definitely love to travel. So
are you originally from Southwest Michigan?
Yes. So I was born and raised in Benton Harbor, the good old Tiger Pride. I graduated from Benton Harbor High School in 2006, and then I went on to college, Morgan State University in Baltimore, which is where I kind of am now. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's fun. I actually graduated in 2006. So
really? Nice.
I went to Eau Claire, but
okay.
So you're in Baltimore right now, but you're making your way back to the area, or because you've got things that you've been doing in the Benton Harbor area that I think are really cool. We'll get to those in a little bit, but so you kind of bounced around and going all over the place, right?
Yeah, so right now I am planning to relocate back to Benton Harbor for the purpose of running a nonprofit that I started, the Benton Harbor Community Development Corporation. And I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But in starting to do this work and wanting to start a CDC in Benton Harbor, I knew that in order for it to be done and for it to be done well, I had to really uproot my life to make it happen. And so that is what I'm doing now.
So you grew up in Benton Harbor, and so graduated in 2006. What was the fun activities that you were really involved in?
Oh my gosh, I was in literally everything. So I was an athlete. I played basketball, ran track, played volleyball. I actually have the high school record in the 100 and 200 meter dash.
Wow.
And I was, president of my class, president of Key Club, a lot of different things. So I definitely kept busy.
Now, did being in something like Key Club kind of give you that sense of community service and getting out there and doing things more so than, being in sports and doing all those things? Yeah,
well, I think that all of those things kind of helped shape who I am today, right? So, with, being in Key Club and being active throughout the community, it was always something that I really enjoyed doing. I remember having this conversation with one of my high school friends. She was like my best friend at the time. And we were talking even at that age about what we wanted to do with our life. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to be helping people. And And so it's one of those conversations that I still remember to this day. And so even though they may have looked differently throughout my life, everything that I've done have kind of led me back to doing work for the community. And then I think that, being an athlete really helped hone a lot of things too, because that resilience, that grit, that determination that athletes kind of have, those are things that you need in order to do the type of work that I'm passionate about doing. So I would say that both of those elements kind of help shape who I am.
Yeah, that motivation and teamwork and
exactly
working with others to accomplish a goal, setting a goal and accomplishing a goal,
right.
And, doing all that. And so you still hold the record?
I do, yeah.
Wow. And so you've really never stopped running, because you're constantly doing all kinds of different things and going
literally always on the go. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I love to stay busy. I have a lot of different interests, and quite frankly, there's a lot of work to be done. And so I'm always finding myself getting attached to different projects and things that in order to kind of move the work forward. And so, definitely always running.
Now, you mentioned the Benton Harbor Community Development Corporation. Is that something that you said from the community service and things that you've really known and wanted to do, and looked at your community and said, I want to do something to help? Is that what came out of this? Was this organization? Did you kind of build this, or was it something that existed and you just said, I got to get involved in this?
So it's something that I founded. Being from Benton Harbor, we have a lot of love and pride for our community. And it is no secret that, there are a lot of different things that are happening that are, it's kind of shifting the trajectory of what's going to happen for a lot of people there, right? And so, gentrification, community, violence, lack of leadership. So there are a lot of different things that really, it's not necessarily unique to Benton Harbor. Is what typically happens when you see a disenfranchised community, but it is unique to me because this is my home and this is the place that I love. And so prior to COVID happening, I had this idea to start the Benton Harbor CDC for the hopes of, to combat that gentrification, to help create homeowners and help the residents to build equity and ownership throughout the community. And with that, I knew that it wasn't just enough to house people, because there are a lot of other issues related to trauma and other things that I knew that we needed to address. And so in building our programming, we focus obviously on home ownership and equity, but also, community support services and how we can really bridge the gap, and not just economically, but mentally, physically, education as well. And so that's kind of how the CDC was founded. And I would say, you asked, how I build it? And it really has been the testament to the community building it together. And so that is what has been one of the beautiful things about it, is that, I came with this idea, and the more I started to speak with people, the more people wanted to get involved in this work because they realized how important it is. And I think that they were just waiting for this entity to kind of, help to flourish those things. So
yeah, that spark or that thing that really drives
that change agent,
Absolutely. And that's what I will say, that growing up in this community, that's what I love the most about Benton Harbor, is that it is such a passionate community. And if there is something, if one person says, let's do this, we got to do this, there's always people that are willing to step up and say, yes, this is what needs to happen. But, with every community, there are many challenges we face. What does the word community mean to you?
To me, community means, it means love. It means support and care. It means grace, because a lot of times, community engagement does not always mean community agreement amongst everyone. So being able to show each other grace because like we are all working towards the same thing, right? And so when I think about, Benton Harbor and that sense of community and what I would like to see, those are some of the things that kind of stand out to me, where we are honoring those values through and through in the way in which we engage and grow and work and learn from one another.
Now, I want to rewind just a little bit. So you graduated from Benton Harbor, and where'd you go to college?
So I went to Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, which is probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Yeah.
Did you find that, did you get because the track record and things of those sorts of sports, what was it, scholarship, or what brought you to go all the way from Benton Harbor to Baltimore?
Yeah. So when I think about it now, I always think about it as being like this divine intervention, because like having, the school record, always being, a really good runner, sure. And, being in the, I think I was like number 11 in my class. So, I always had good grades. I was always, in a lot of extracurricular activities, but I didn't really have any serious scholarship offers. And so, especially from from local colleges. And so my godfather, who was also the men's track coach, he is a Morgan alum. And so he basically put in a call to the track coach at Morgan, told him about me, and they basically offered me a full tuition scholarship. And that is another testament to the strength of power of relationships, because they had never seen me run. But he just trusted his old friend from many, many years ago that that I was the real deal. And that was it. And so that is something that I love about, I can go on and on about the strength and power of relationships and how we, relate to one another. But to going back to your question, that is how I ended up all the way in Baltimore. And then as soon as I signed Morgan State, I started to get offers and so many calls from like Western Michigan, Michigan State. And so I knew that, thinking back to who I was at the time and not really realizing the transformation that I would experience from going to a historically Black college and university, I knew that I would have chosen a school with a name like Michigan State, and so I'm so glad the way that it happened. Like I said, I always refer to it as divine intervention, because I probably would have made, to me, would have been a big mistake. So.
Well, and like you said, it's that you could have said and just been like, nope, I'm gonna. I thank you for the offer. I have to respectfully decline, especially if you said, all those other offers were starting to happen. Like you said, it is that something that you learned a lot, and it changed you and made you better, and not on the athletic side. Maybe it did on the athletic side, but really, like you said, about those relationships that are formed, and something that, there's a lot of trust that was in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Your family member making a phone call, and that person could easily just say, yeah, no.
Right.
I want to see, a lot of times with anything, you always want to see the end result. You want to see the product before you buy it, I guess.
Yeah.
Really the analogy you could use. But so what did you learn in that experience of going away from your home to this new community and this new college, but also half, 600-700 miles away?
Yeah.
Being in some place that you really didn't know anybody. What was that like?
Yeah, I didn't know anyone. And it's so different being in Baltimore from Benton Harbor. It was definitely a culture shock right away. A lot of things about the culture of the city I didn't necessarily understand, but also, even coming from a predominantly Black community and then going to a school like Morgan State, where you are now meeting so many different Black people, so to speak, throughout the diaspora. So like people from Jamaica, or even countries that I had never heard of. And so being able to having to make out certain dialects from people, it was just really it was a culture shock at first. Yeah. But what I learned through that is someone used the term with me recently, like this diversification of Blackness, and what that means. And so that was really such a transformative experience. And then just like learning and growing and appreciating more about like who I am as a Black woman was something that, I can't take for granted about that experience either. And then the people that I met are probably going to be my friends for really the rest of my life. The lessons that you learn from them and with them. I always say, like I was born and raised in Benton Harbor, but I really grew up in Baltimore, and that, being able to find people that you really are going to grow old with, and they teach you so many different things about yourself, about how to engage and interact with other people, and how we should engage and interact with our community. So yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about that experience. It was literally the best. So.
Well, and I think that I think is something that is so important for anyone is that I guess a lot of times we use the boomerang effect of the going away and experiencing something else of people that you walk up to and say, we may look the same, but we have totally different lives and different backgrounds. And everybody that I know, we're humans. We've grown up in this same community. But we have totally different experiences that we've gone through, and that conversation, that I think is what solidifies a relationship. As you learn more and you tell each other stories, become comfortable with each other, and it's just, I think even more so something like that happens when you do go to a totally different community that has a completely different foundation of their upbringing. And like you said, you learn different dialects and you do different all those things, and you learn from people maybe from other parts of the world, and something you do not experience in your own community if you never leave.
Yeah, and I'm always such a strong advocate, no matter what school you decide to go to, of just like going away from that safety net that is your hometown, right? Because a lot of times, even going to Morgan, for the students who may have lived in DC or other parts of Maryland, they would just go home every weekend. And so they are not necessarily interacting how, a transplant student would be, so to speak. And so like being away from your family and being forced to really grow and learn on your own, and having the opportunity to even make mistakes too. Right. And so, I'm a strong advocate for people leaving that safety net. And then, obviously going back if that's what you decide to do, but having that experience where you're able to get away.
So you would never change that decision? You wouldn't, if you had to flip the time machine and go back to that? No. You wouldn't change it?
No, not at all. Like I really wish, like sometimes I feel like I fail to put it in words, but like thinking about the experience, like it was really transformative. And it's something that you really just kind of have to feel. I just feel like everyone should have the opportunity to do it, and even maybe that's not just college, but at some point in your life, having that, the opportunity to just kind of be forced to grow and go out on your own
and get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's a slight bump into a different direction, I feel like somebody has to experience that, because you can rewrite your course back to something else, but those experiences that you have will change you and change you for the better, I think. Yeah,
definitely.
What's something that absolutely excites you right now?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, because we talked about the CDC and, having to relocate. So like my future is something that like really excites me. I've always been one of those people that felt like, you can design the life that you want to create. And so because of COVID and, working from home, teleworking for over the past year, working remotely throughout this past year, it really helped me to put things in perspective and, and help me to realize that the life that you want, you have to be very intentional about creating that. And I always thought that I was the person that did that, but sometimes you got to get very radical in that. And so even though, it was never part of my plan to move back home permanently and to do these things, but when you're being obedient, which is what I feel like I'm doing right now, there's this peace and excitement that comes from that. And so that is something that is really refreshing to me to see, because I really believe in the CDC and the work that we are doing or would like to do. And so I'm just excited to see where it's going to go. And then, personal things that I'm working on as well, to be able to say, I want to step out on faith. I'm about to quit my job. I don't advocate for everyone just quitting your job and not being prepared, but I am prepared. So, and just like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to create the life that I want to live for myself. And so that is something that is really exciting for me right now.
Well, and I think this past year has really made us turn the lens to our lives and really look at what is the most important things.
Yeah.
And like you said, not quitting your job, but if your job or if your life revolves around just doing this job or this thing that doesn't excite you, or just helping you pay the bills. I mean, there's a lot more to that. And I think this past year has really taught us that if you have a passion for something, go for it.
Go for it. Yeah.
And that is just like you and going back to track. It's like, just go.
Yeah.
And obviously know how to go.
Yeah.
And go in the right direction for sure. And so tell me a little bit about this Community Development Corporation. And I noticed you've been doing citywide cleanups and things like that. What has that meant not only to you to just do something as simple as, hey, we're going to go to this area of our town and just clean some things up? What has that meant to you and the people that have come with you and volunteered? What has that meant for them?
I think that if anything, it started to kind of create this sense of ownership over what happens in our community. Like you said, something as simple as a cleanup, but the things and the conversations that have grown because of those experiences of connectedness, and just that engagement that is going to take for us to really get on one accord. And so I think that for me is, it's knowing and feeling, that this is ours. This is what God gave us, and this is what we have to take care of, and we have to do that together. I think there's a lot of great things that can happen in our community, but I think that it's important for community development to be done with the community as a stakeholder in that, and not for things to be done to them. And so being able to, bring the community together for different things for me has been, for something so small as a cleanup. But what that can mean, that is like, protecting our space, that is combating blight, that is letting people know that this space is respected and protected, and not just, outsiders, but it's showing that message to people within the community as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I say small as far as geographically, a small area, a small project, but it is something where it is simple as saying, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to clean this area. Like you said, it brings that ownership. And Benton Harbor especially is a town that has no problem with wearing that badge of honor of, this is where I live. This is my community. I am proud to be a member of Benton Harbor. But like you said, you're taking it that step of, well, let's go to this area right here, that area that someone has either given up on by throwing trash or things, or just, it needs to just be cleaned up in any sort of way, whether it's pick up this trash and then do a quick mowing. You just uncovering those things, working together, you see the fruits of your labor, to be able to say, wow, I didn't even realize this existed underneath.
Yeah, exactly. And, and moving forward from that, it's just, okay, we clean this, but now we want to own it. Now we want our kids to have good schools in it, so just all of those things kind of work together. And like I said, I'm just really excited about some of the things that have come out of the work that we've been doing, and just really getting the community engaged in our work. And because, I say all the time, the assets of Benton Harbor, it's the people. It's not the land. It's not the land near the water. It's really the people that make Benton Harbor special. And so being able to tap into that uniqueness and those assets, and being able to bring what's special about individuals to the forefront and use that to grow our community, it really has been great work. So
yeah, it's not about the real estate, it's about the real people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what it is. And yeah, I think, like you said, it's something that going that step forward, because you could go as far as just, all right, we're going to do these citywide cleanups in these areas and do that. But I think what you'll find, and anywhere, if you do the cleaning up side of the roads or anything like that, you clear that away and there's a good chance that gets filled back up with whatever. But it's going that step forward of seeing that vision of what could be and what we could do and what we could do to move forward.
Yeah, and the mindset shifting is creating opportunities, it's providing resources. So, all of those things are things that we are, looking to do to the community. So within the community.
What are some other things that you're looking to do for the community in the future with Community Development Corporation? Because like you said, you've decided that I need to do this full time. I think it's moving the way I want to see it grow. And it's to the point of it. I'm so passionate about it that, like you said, you're picking up from where you are right now and coming back to this community because you need to take it one step forward further. So what's next for this organization, and what are the other resources that you offer?
Yeah, so right now we currently host a monthly home buying education and counseling session that started, I think it was our first session was in January of this year. And so what we do is we host this class monthly. And after this, we basically teach the ins and outs of the home buying process, about lending, what your mortgage payments consist of, literally everything you need to know, inspections, appraisal, all that. And then after that, participants have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with one of our home buying counselors to really assess where they are as an individual or couple in the home buying process. And so we really just kind of hold their hand and help them to set goals to make this more obtainable to them. Yeah. We also try to provide resources. We do a lot of Facebook Lives that, talk about different lending programs, how to repair your credit. So all steps that will help someone throughout that home buying process. One of my goals for that program is to ultimately be able to offer home buying down payment assistance for a lot of residents. A lot of people may not have that money saved that they may need for down payments or even, inspections, but they have, the monthly income in order to make that happen. So we want to do our best to remove whatever barriers people are experiencing to home ownership. One of the other things that we are launching next week is our 400 Black mentoring program. And so earlier this year, we hosted a meeting with the men in our community to talk about the issue of violence that was happening. And they worked together to figure out, what they wanted to do, had the discussion to address that. And so out of that grew 400 Black, and it is a youth mentoring program for ages 10 to 17. So I'm really excited about that summer session that's starting. And then a lot of the work that we do a lot of engagement events online, informative things, but one of my teammates, Brittany, and I, we've been working with Spectrum Center for Better Health, and they are helping us with a community mapping initiative where we are going to map within the wards of Benton Harbor to really assess what are some of the assets already existing in certain neighborhoods and what resources we can bring to them. And so our future program is going to grow out of that initiative because like I said, we want to listen to the community to see what they would like to see from us and how we can best support them. We also have, initiative coming up to focus on young adults within the community. If you look at the demographics of Benton Harbor, the second highest population group is that 24 to I think it's 24 to 35-year-old age range, and there's not a lot happening with this population in regards to resources and support. A lot of times, support is geared to the youth, which is also important, and then the elderly community. But we're missing that gap that really has the ability to change the trajectory of the city. And so we really want to tap into that. And so we are going to start a series of meetings and discussions with this group so that we can start building programming to support that population as well. So it's a lot of different things that are happening, a lot of ideas that are out there, but like I said, we want to make sure we are operating in a way that is authentic to the community, in a way in which we're giving the community what it would like to see from us. And so that said, some of the things that are, just ideas right now, so I don't want to talk about them, but it's more so let's get this information to see if we're on the right track or if we need to shift gears a little bit. So
I love that. I mean, that's something that there's a lot there, but I mean, it's like, it's necessary stuff. I mean, you can't just build the community and keep the community going and growing in the right direction by just talking about it. You have to have more action and more things to make it happen. And that is what is going to drive this community in the right direction, is, like you said, fill in the gaps and then looking at the challenges and things like that. Speaking of challenges, what's the biggest challenge? I mean, I know you're my age, so we don't have a ton of challenges, or maybe we do. What are some of the challenges you've faced in life that have shaped the person you are today?
That is a great question. And this is probably the Aquarius in me speaking, but, as a whole, like you said, we're very young, so I don't feel like I have necessarily experienced a ton of challenges, at least nothing that I would consider to be a major challenge, right? I feel like a lot of times what we perceive as challenges, if we kind of slow down and think about it without emotions, they were really things that can be easily figured out. So I think that, and I don't want to change this into like a morbid thing, but I think that one of the biggest challenges for me is like dealing with loss.
Yes.
And not necessarily things like, day-to-day things or occurrences that will happen. Because for me, I'm a person, like, I just get things done. I am, if you need something to happen, you call Ashley. If you need something fixed, my friends, they call Ashley. Family, they call Ashley. And so, dealing with the loss of a loved one kind of, hit me hard. And I think that was probably my biggest challenge, because like, what happens when you can't fix something, And that was not something that I knew. And so I think that has been like one of my biggest challenges today. So.
No, that's a big one. And that is the thing, is that you can't always say that. And that's something I almost misspoke of saying, we're so young, but we do face so many different challenges in life. And like it is, again, it changes that trajectory of anything, whether, like you said, losing a loved one, you have to, it could be somebody that a family member or a person that, helped you with certain things. Like it changes everything. The stuff that you do, for sure. So where are you going from here? I mean, obviously we know we've talked about your future and things like that. How do you see yourself growing and getting into more and more things? I mean, you've talked about some of the stuff you want to do in the community, but what else do you have that's a passion of yours?
I'm really passionate, like I said, about relationships. And so one of the things that excite me is, about coming back home is just like spending more family time. And so that is something that, I feel like I miss so much being away. And then not just being away, but always running. And so you're always having a million things going on. And so this past year has been great because I've gotten the opportunity to spend, extended period of time at home to really just love and embrace and get to know my family. I haven't been home consistently since I was 18. So, we've all changed so much, even though you see people on holidays, but being able to interact and become a part of those family dynamics day to day has been something that has been fulfilling and also challenging. And
Sure.
but I've been enjoying it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And yeah, you go away, you come back and you learn some things and they've learned some
Mhm.
things. And yeah, you can stay connected through social media, through a Zoom
Yeah.
call, through something like that. But that's still
It's
not the
different.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, like getting to know my mom and my sister as a grown woman now, it's a lot of different things that are happening, but I am very excited about it. So
That's really awesome, man. I'm excited about this too. You put a fire in my stomach with the things that you have going on, with passion about the community and all this. And I'm excited for the stuff that you do. So sign me up for whatever you have going on, because I think you're, again, like RJ said in the beginning, to start this relationship off, you and I talking is. That is exactly what she said. Is somebody that is passionate about what they do, and you are definitely that person. So, no need to blame RJ. I thank RJ, and I also thank you for taking some time to talk to me about yourself, and I look forward to the many things that you have going on in the future. I do love to ask this to everybody.
okay.
What is something that people should know about you that they may not know?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's something that they don't know about me, but I feel like a lot of times, because of how my life is perceived, it's not necessarily something that people act on. But just like knowing that, I am human. I think that a lot of times people see the travel photos on Facebook or, the passion, but, knowing that I am human in the sense that, I make mistakes. There are things that hurt me too. Yeah, I have a lot of love to give. And so just those, and then I'm a human. So like, I feel like a lot of times because people see those things, they think that, oh, Ashley has this great life. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, it is great, but I still deal with very real things. And so I think that is something that I hope, as I start to, interact more with the community and spend more time there, that people will just see who I am genuinely. And not with all what is the perception of people. And so I think that is kind of how I'll leave that.
I just want you to invite me on this next trip, wherever.
Yeah, come. I always tell people come,
I think that's what people don't always do, is they don't always, when you say, oh, I want to go to this country, or I want to visit this place. It's not, all right, let's go. You're like, what do I need to do to get to that point?
Yeah. And
what
that's
do I need to save up or do that?
Yeah. And so, and now I'm going to add you to my little chain, because when people tell me that, I come across fight deals, even if it's something I can't go on myself, like, hey, there's with the RJ, there was like a $200 something ticket to Tokyo for March. I'm like, hey, this is not a drill. I need you to book this. Tell your friends, tell everyone. And so I'll definitely start to clue you in on that. But that's one of the things that I would eventually like to see within our community, is just being able to plan experience trips for different populations. Because now, as I travel, I get a lot of comments from people, particularly, even elders in our community, that, maybe they didn't get the chance to travel as much. So being able to create opportunities and organize these things for people. Once I get a little time, I would definitely like to do things like that. So
I find it so fascinating when I meet people that have never left their hometown.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a huge surprise to me. And even if you don't have the money to do so, find somebody that you can hitch a ride with, a friend that will take you on a road trip to go see something. You just have to try and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't have to be something so grand.
No.
And that's, another thing too, I think that there's this misconception that like traveling is expensive.
Right.
And it can be sometimes, but I feel like I'm a pretty good budget traveler. I book, far enough in advance, so things aren't as expensive. And so just with proper planning, I definitely think it can be affordable for a lot of people. So
Yeah, and well, and just like what you're doing within the community, you have to be resourceful, and the knowledge that you have on things like that, it's something that you've figured it out,
Yeah.
and you're still figuring things out. And like I said, I'm excited about that. Also, I need to find out who your photographer is, because whoever's taking your pictures, they look great. So, last thing, Ashley, is I always like to ask people, as your life continues, and what if somebody was writing a biography about you, or you're writing an autobiography, what would you title it right now?
I would say life is generous. I think that is something that has been like this constant repeat in my mind right now, just knowing that, good or bad, there's always, life is always giving you something back, right? So even when situations may look grim, or things, may not turn out the way that you would want them to turn out, because of how my faith is set up, and because of what life has shown me, is that it is generous. And even things that may not have worked out in your favor, they've always worked out for your good. And so that will be what my life autobiography will be titled right now. So
seeing the value in everything that happened in your life, and seeing how there's a lesson to be learned with everything, every experience you have. So
yeah, definitely.
Ashley, I think you're a wonderful person in our community, and I love to see this continued work that you have going forward. But I just got to say thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to tell me your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you, RJ.
Thank you for listening to Start From the Beginning, Stories from Southwest Michigan. Special thanks to our guests for telling their stories. And if you have a story to tell, I'd love to hear more. Please reach out to me by emailing letstalk@wsjm.com. That's letstalk@wsjm.com. You can listen to this podcast and all the episodes wherever you like to listen to podcasts, and be sure to rate and review on Apple Podcasts. This is a Midwest Family production. I'm Johnny Reinhardt. Join me next time for another great story on Start From the Beginning, Stories from Southwest Michigan.